everyone. Welcome to Making It Real and part 5 of a very special series that we've been hosting with Sebastian here, really understanding the wellness client autopilot that he has created. And each month he has been taking us through the process, learning how to find clients, how to connect with them. And this particular part 5 is quite interesting. And I think something that's very current in the world now when it comes to really collaboration over competition. And so today, Sebastian is going to talk about partnerships and really how to forge strong, meaningful partnerships and learn how to actually leverage other leaders in the network and other actually network with their network to flood your online funnel with traffic. And I think this is a quite it'll be quite hopefully an uplifting episode of our series together, because sometimes the world can get kind of competitive and we can see others really thriving in our space, and that can almost feel like debilitating to us, but you have a different spin on things. So looking forward to diving in.
Very good. Thanks, Kiki. And I think what you just said there is so true. So often we, first of all, compare ourselves, which is the root of all unhappiness, as some people say, right? Just comparing yourself with others. We all do it, and it's really not healthy and doesn't bring happiness for sure. And sometimes it's really hard, but really I always try for myself to have a collaborative mindset. And I think there's actually not real competition out there. There's enough for all of us, really. If you would look at how much money there's printed every day, and how much is spent and how much is going around and how many people do great things, there's really always enough of the pie left for everyone. So we don't really need to compete with each other. And the real question is, how do we find a way to collaborate in a way that it benefits, basically creates a win-win-win, right? A win for yourself, a win for the other person, and a win for the stakeholders, for your customers and the people around them. And as you said, that's what I want to focus on today. It's like how do we do that, and how do we do it in a way that is that is not, as you said, competitive, and it's actually moving away from a kind of transactional mindset to a really long-term doing things together and having fun with working together. So let me share my screen. What are your experiences with partnerships, Kiki? Have you done partnerships before?
Yes. Right now, my current experience with partnerships is I'm doing group programs, and I've been inviting guest experts in to share their expertise. So I have, it's like a juicy bonus workshop each week, and I bring in an expert, and oftentimes they'll sell some of their services, at the end of their workshop. And some of my clients will opt in for that, and it's complimentary healing for the experience that I'm offering. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Very good, very good. And that's a great way of doing this, because my experience, my first experience with strategic partnerships, as we call it, was a podcast that I created a couple of years ago as well. And back then I didn't really know how to make much use of it in terms of for my business in a monetary sense. But what it really gave me is an opportunity to get access to some great people. And because of that, I got so much new knowledge and different angles and perspectives on different parts of my business and life, really, that helped me so much to create the business that I have now, where where my biggest source of clients and traffic is simply the relationships and partnerships I created with others. So, and Yeah, I think that's a wonderful way to grow your business. And in fact, I believe partnerships done in the right way is one of the fastest ways to grow your business.
I can believe it.
So in the next 10 or 15 minutes or 50 minutes, I intend to do two things. So I want to explain really shortly what actually is a strategic partnership exactly, and then how do I build a strategic partnership to create this massive exposure, right? So that's what it really is about, right? We want to connect with leaders and collaborate and work with other leaders so we can tap into their network, so we don't basically have to build our network one at a time, but rather tapping into other people's network, getting exposure on a larger scale, and one that get like a lot of people at the time at one time, basically, and offer that for the other person in exchange as well with our network. So what is a strategic partnership? First, before we do that, just as a quick reminder, we talk all this whole series is about the Wellness Client Autopilot. So I'd like to remind everyone where this sits. So it's one of the 5 channels that we focus on in our wellness product ecosystem, which is basically kind of the clockwork of the autopilot watch in that sense, right? So the strategic partners on the very left-hand side, the first channel, and it's all about getting someone on the client journey that you have built out in your business. Does that make sense, Vicky?
Totally.
Yeah, good. Just checking in. Okay, so what is a strategic partnership or a strategic partner? So first, there's 3 components to it. First, they have to have the same target audience as you do. So there's no point really trying to work with someone intensively if they talk to, let's say, moms, and you have a business that offers products for men in their midlife crisis, right? So like that doesn't work. So there needs to be an overlap. There needs to be a significant overlap to make a partnership work, because otherwise none of the parties involved will get enough out of it. And then you should have complementary products. So if you have the same target audience, but then basically you have the same product, so you both offer naturopathy, let's say, or you both offer an online program which talks about how to improve your diet. Also, it's like kind of cannibalizing each other's products. Now, that doesn't mean you can't work together, right? You can still point each other, like you can connect each other with other partners that you've created in the past, and with that become the hub for any person really coming in. So if they have the right mindset, right? This is why I put this in bold here. That's the third component, and the biggest one is like you have to find out really quickly with someone if they have the right mindset. But I remember times when I jumped in a call with someone and they said, yeah, we have this great product and we have an affiliate program and you're going to sell it for us and then you're going to get some money. That's what I call a transactional mindset. Down the track, if that relationship happens where you both offer each other's products and you both get a commission, well, that's great. But if someone comes to you at the very beginning with this kind of approach, they basically just want to get you to sell their stuff and that's it. And that doesn't work. It doesn't work for them and it doesn't work for you, because you're not aligned with each other. You don't really understand each other's products, and you just don't have any drive and motivation to actually sell their product. So they're not going to make any sales and you're not going to make any money because you're not selling their product. Right? So you got to have both parties have to have the right mindset. So when we look, oh, it was too far. So when we look at strategic partnerships, to make sure we get the right partners, we have to go in with the right mindset. right? So that means we have to think we rather than I. And so how can we do things together, and how can we collaborate long term rather than this me mindset? And I think that's really where the whole minds. How can I make more money? How can I improve my business? Am I still coming through? I'm just had a an unstable internet connection.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Very good. So I think if we change that thinking to how can I help the other person, before we actually get into any relationship, that changes and it sets the tone right from the beginning. And then many people come to me and say like, yeah, Sebastian, but how do I, who am, like, especially when you start, like, I don't really have a network yet. Why would someone else come and collaborate with me? Always remember, everyone wants more exposure, right, in their business. And it doesn't matter if you have 10 people in your network, as someone who's doing this all the time. Like for me, I just had started a collaboration with the Heal Yourself Expo here in Queensland. And we had a couple of phone calls where we figured out how can I do a presentation, and how can we offer an online program together. And he now got 4 people signed up for the online program, and for the presentation I maybe have 20 people there, right? And that may increase a little bit, but it's nothing big. But I don't mind, because we align with our vision. We have the right mindset. We know we want to grow this together. We're on the same boat. And if I get 1 or 2 clients out of that, that means, my average client, they spends with me about $10,000. Well, that's, somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 for me in revenue. Well, everyone wants more exposure. It doesn't matter how much how big your network is. Always remember that when you approach someone, and you will see people more than happy to do things with you if you go in with the right mindset. Do you find that is for you is the same, Kiki?
Totally. And I actually feel like for those sort of bigger stars or bigger players, they want to feature smaller brands or people, because it helps to make them look more authentic. And so, I mean, I'm in Toronto, and there's a lot of sort of influencers in the space here that will happily feature someone that only has, maybe 200, 300, 400 Instagram followers maybe, and that person might feel like, oh no, I'm not famous enough or whatever. But there's value in that. There's value in the starting. And so, yeah, I totally agree.
I love that. And I think that's so true. And it reminds me of another point that's probably important to make here, is that some people that you work with or collaborate with don't want, their aim is not to get more, not even to get more exposure at the first instance. They actually want to just look better. As you just said, I want to provide more value for their clients. So bringing you in as an expert on a certain topic that they don't offer, like for instance with Meal Garden, right? That was also a great example of us doing this series here. They have 3 things, I think it was, that they are focusing on. One is to give nutrition advice, or help with around nutrition with their app to create meal plans. And then there was another part, and the third part was to educate health and wellness practitioners. Do you remember that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And to sort of build a community, like a marketplace.
Exactly.
Practitioners.
That's right. So and around the mindset, they were looking for people and how they could educate their audience, because that was not something they had in house. Mm-hmm. So they were looking for people to come in from the outside, right? So and they weren't looking at that at more exposure or making more money through that. It was more like to offer more value to their customers.
Exactly.
Right. So how do we, how do this, does it work to really build strong partnerships? So we really need to look at elevating a partnership rather than going in and saying, okay, we are now, we don't know each other, and we right away, do all these different work together. Like we do workshops, and we're gonna do products together, and all these things. It's very important, I find, with partnerships to elevate the relationship one step at a time. And for our clients, we worked out this elevation journey that we teach our clients to go through with each new partner they onboard. So I don't want to go into more detail. For me, it's more about to understand for our listeners today, and to understand that you start small and then slowly take one step at a time and do more with that person to actually see, do they actually follow through, right? Are they actually really committed to do something with me? Or did they just get excited during a phone call, and then all of a sudden you realize life gets in the way for them all the time, and they're not you doing all the work, right? So start small and identify and connect. That's where it starts first. Then do a little cross promotion with something that you have already created. Then find ways in how you can share content, like through interviews, interviewing each other, or maybe getting someone on your podcast, or doing a little webinar together. And that builds the relationship where you then can directly refer to each other. And ultimately, where we want to get with partners is to create a joint venture where every time they get someone new in their business, like every time they get a new client, you get a prospect, for instance. Right, so you see that often in cafes, for instance. Everyone who buys a coffee gets a 20% voucher for the gym around the corner. And when you go to the gym and with your membership, you get a free coffee at the cafe that offered these memberships, right? So there's this kind of a cross promotion with each other, and it's then thinking about how can you do that for your business on a smaller scale. Slides not turned, right? That's too far. Yeah. So I just last 5 minutes I want to use to and I know this is all a bit a lot of content, but for me it was really important. We talked so much about how do I build the foundations for my business, and how how do I build the wellness product ecosystem? What are the foundations of the wellness product ecosystem? I know people get really quickly caught up on building more and more stuff, more and more products, more and more systems, and actually forget that the most important part is to do kind of the legwork for your business, where you reach out, where you create connections with partners and clients. And I think my intent for this session today was to explain how can I do this work efficiently in the right way, and then give 2 little steps to do that. And every partnership starts with those 2 things, right? Where we just looked at it here. So identify and connect. Right? So that's the basic process. You identify, this is step 1. So who is actually a potential strategic partner, who has a complementary product, who has the same target audience, and who has a collaborative mindset. So the first 2 you usually can see and on someone's Instagram or Facebook profile, right? Who do they talk to and what do they sell? But to find out what mindset they have, you actually have to connect with them. And that's what I recommend, always a quick 15-minute phone call. And then you start elevating the relationship. So I recommend to everyone who wants to give this a try, make a list of 10 people who could be a partner. Right, so think about who exactly do you sell to find someone with the same target audience, and then who else sells to who you sell to, So like who has a complementary service, a complementary product, And the other thing where you can find people who you could identify and put into this list is thinking about where else do your clients spend money. That's usually the easiest. So if you know, if you have a local practice and you know your clients most of them grab a coffee at a certain coffee place on the way to your therapy session with you, well, I would that would be one person on that list that I would want to connect with and see if they have the right mindset and right attitude towards working together in some shape or form. And once you made that list, and don't stop at before you have 10, then you go and send them a simple message. And that is often where I see most people fall short, right? It's like, okay, we identified someone and like, no, what do I do now, right? So how do I send a message? And I think we really overcomplicate that. It's simply, if you've identified someone, find them on Facebook, find them on their website, find their email, whatever it is, and then send them a quick message saying like, hey, my message is usually something like, hi, such and such, really love what you're doing and would love to learn more about you and see how we can collaborate. That's it. It's really as simple as that. Talk soon, Sebastian. And I send that message, copy and paste to the 10 people identified and see who responds. The one who is open to this type of work and who has the right mindset, they will instantly respond to you and say like, hey, yeah, definitely would love to. Let's talk to each other. Some people say like, how do you contact me? Why are you contacting me? You don't even know each other. Awesome. You can like cross them out. They don't have the right mindset, right? Don't need to talk to them. That's actually a wonderful thing when you get that. It's better than someone, is kind of in between giving you this kind of wishy-washy message where you don't really know. That means you have to spend time and actually find out, right? So that's really important. And once someone responds yes, you go and set up a little 15-minute phone call. I literally have an online calendar. It says collaborate. I type in web call on my phone, and it actually expands to could you try and find a time here with the link to my online calendar. So it's really, really quick that I can do that with text expander, because I do it a lot and I know it works really well. So they can then book in a time, and when you talk to them, I strongly encourage you to think about these 3 things that I wrote down here. First of all, you want to build trust. So you need to connect on a personal level, right? Where you build trust is on a personal level. So I quickly ask, what do you do besides business? After they, talk about like what they do and all the things they do in their business, like, okay, that's great. But who are you? What do you do besides business? Do you have any hobbies? Do you have any family? Things like that. That's where you really create trust. And then you need to align with your vision and your why. That's the biggest one. If I align with someone with my vision, what I want to achieve in my life and why I do what I do, usually the rest is just details that work themselves out, right? If you connect on that level. And then once I tick all these boxes, the last question I ask is like, okay, what can I do for you right now? It's not, hey, I have this thing, can you do this for me? Or what can we do together? But it's like, hey, what's one thing I can do for you right now? And from there it goes. If they say like, oh, there's actually nothing, I then have something that we always prepare that we can do. But from there, the elevation process starts. So if you get nothing out of this today, I'd love for everyone who's listening to create that list and then send out some message and just see what happens. The coolest things happen of connecting with people on this level and in this way.
And you are living proof, because look what happened. I believe you sent me one of those little collaboration, copy and paste messages, and here we
I
are.
remember. Yeah, and you responded, I think 6 or 8 months later. You know,
It all works out in the end. Well,
it's
thank
a
you so
long-term
much.
game.
Exactly. See, you had the right mindset. You were like, long term. Thank you, Sebastian. Can't wait for the next one.